John, Vintage Fisherman. I looked up and got one of my favorite reels at auction for cheap. This is a Daiwa SL20SH. We call them Slosh 20s. It's a C line. They're a line of these. But anyway, one of my favorite reels, and I use these as anchor reels for king mackerel fishing from the pier. And this was in the best shape of any of them I've ever had. Usually they're just beat all the crap through here, and it's got a couple little dings, but it's not bad. Everything seems to work on it. It's pretty smooth. I've got upgrades, and I had to order one of these. It was missing the clamp, so we got the clamp for it. I always clamp my reels to my rods. What I use these for, when it's pouring down rain, I'm out there mackerel fishing because, hey, the fish don't care if it's raining. I don't like to use my good expensive sliding mags or casting specials for my anchor rods. I'll use a cheaper reel. This is a cheaper reel, but it casts really, really well. Anybody that's ever surf casted with Slosh will tell you it's amazing. It's an amazing little reel. And it doesn't have any kind of cast control other than your knob right here and your thumb. That's your biggest cast control, your thumb. And it's a simple little reel that not too much can go wrong. If it gets wet, I can still get parts of these reels. Not hard to find. I am going to upgrade it. I've got some ceramic Abex 7s to put in it. I've got a new drag to put in because this reel's been around the block a day or two. So these are supposed to be the right drags. We'll find out. It's sometimes a toss up whether you get the right stuff or not. Let's go ahead and tear it down and see what we got here. Take the handle off first, of course. Then put the clamp stuff over there. Got another cat here and there. All right. In good shape. That's the best handle of any of them I've ever had. I just gave my son one of these. He doesn't know that yet, but when I take all of his fishing gear down to him to his new house, he'll have it's actually a Slosh 30, but it was my rain ride, I guess you could say. He'll really enjoy it. It casts really well. It's easy to control. That went in on top of the drag, star drag. Now, a lot like the pin, you got a trim ring, and then you got 6 screws, which is actually more than the pin. Go ahead and take these 6 screws out. This reel was made in Japan. There's 2 places I like reels to be made, well, 3. Need to rephrase that. I love American-made reels. I love Swedish-made ambassadors. And I like any reel made in Japan. I don't know, they just do a great job over there. Just like their cars. They make excellent vehicles. They make excellent fishing reels. Quality is second to none. Such a cool culture too. So here we go. Let's get this. There we go. Get these screws out. This reel hasn't been used much, if it's been used at all. Didn't have line on when I got it. That says a little something. Me personally, I think it was just sitting around collecting dust. It might have got bumped around a couple times. They're not quite as strong of a reel as the pin, the 525, which would be a similar reel to this. Doesn't have quite as much metal to it, you know, it's all plastic. But I think it would still handle about the same size fish. They're all things being equal, you know. This one has a trim ring that has to come off. Then you got to work the trim ring around this handle, which is a little bit tougher with this reel. In fact, I might have to take, pretty sure I'm going to have to take it all the way apart because it doesn't really have the room to, I think I can work it out of there now. Yeah, so I'm going to take this handle off. Big. There's a screw and a star washer underneath there, and we'll try to get that off there without tearing it up. Then that can come off. I call those the trim rings or tins. Let's go ahead and take the spool adjust knob off. It's going to have a brass washer up under it too. They can be a real pain to get off there. I'm going to take my air compressor and blow it out. Put your thumb over it. Nope, it's not coming out. Been in there a while, a minute or two. I don't know how old this reel is. It's 12, 15 years old maybe. I don't know. The Daiwa people could probably tell me just by looking at it. Well, we're going to leave that alone. Fight your battles. Stick. There it goes. Well, I had to take this off. I could do it a different way, but we'll look at that on the way back in with it. But that little plastic spacer just comes out. It'd be a bearing on most reels. They didn't use as a bearing on this one. I guess I could probably upgrade it to a bearing. At 2 springs. Be careful, there's shims right there. Don't lose those shims. Set the cover over there. Let's look at the stack. You got concave, convex, opposing. They're pretty nasty. This is going to be a flat washer with a felt washer underneath it. It's got a little step in. It's got a felt washer on it. There's your first bearing coming out, and they had a shim on the underneath of it. That bearing won't be replaced. Let's bring the whole thing. Yeah, maybe not. Okay. This is what I'm saying. I mean, even the manufacturers know grease on drag washers is a good thing. So here we got a well lubricated from the factory. This won't come apart for whatever reason. Got a little burr up here on it somewhere. Doesn't want to come through there. Burr right in there. Good day. That's wild. What am I hitting? Okay. All right. Go with what God gave you there, I reckon. Just file that burr off. You see that burr right there? That's odd. Just doesn't want to go. It didn't want to overcome that. Get it off of here. Take a file. Bring it back flat. Look. There's some greasy parts here. It's all part of the gear. I'm getting dirty on this one. Another drag washer. Metal and belt and so forth. I ordered a smooth drag for it. There you go. There's the whole stack. There's a lot to it, right? Okay. There is anti-reverse dog right here. On a pin. Pull the pin, spring, and all. That spring goes up under that post right there. Keep a mental note of that. See how it's underneath it? Loops around there, hooks and loops around. We'll clean that. It's probably not going to stay together, but I'm going to try to clean it just the way it is. Now, here's what I'm talking about. You got two shims. Don't lose these. Don't forget to put them back in. There's your yoke, your pinion. Here's a jack plate. So much like a pin, right? Let me grab Phillips head and we'll remove this handle shaft. I do believe there's a bearing underneath the handle shaft. Yes. And there's shims underneath there. We're going to clean this really well. There is a bearing and a shim. I want to get that bearing out if I can. Okay, we did that. We accomplished that. Now, you see that little shiny copper thing? That is a shim. Don't lose it. That won't even go into the parts washer because if it goes in the parts washer, I'll never see it again. We'll go right there with that bearing. Okay. We're good. We're good there. Let's go on this side. Oh, there's that goes through right there. That's your line relief so it doesn't scratch or eat up your. And I'll clean that by hand so the gold anodized doesn't. The ultrasonic cleaner will take some of the gold anodizing off. So you have to be careful with that if you're an ultrasonic user. This stuff here, if you put an ultrasonic, it will take all that writing off. You don't want to do that. Just clean it by hand. I use a parts washer with WD-40 in it. I've got a 3-gallon parts washer with 3 gallons of WD-40. Yes, that's $100 worth of WD-40 in it. I don't run the pump because WD-40 is flammable. So I just put the parts in there and scrub them by hand, and WD-40 protects them. And without removing anything important. It will remove grease. WD-40 is an excellent cleaner to remove greases and dirt, but it will not remove things like this writing here. It actually protects it. That's how I've been doing reels for a long time. Tried and true for me. Just don't put stuff like this in ultrasonic or this gold. You will be disappointed. It's going to mess it up. It doesn't have anything to do with the cleaner. It's the cleaning fluids. It's the vibration of the sound waves going through is what messes them up. So take those 3 screws out, and then you should be able to push the spool. Right, we're not quite done with that yet. We'll set that right there. There's your spool, and it's missing. Dadgummit, it's missing the cast control. Somebody's took them out. That ought to be fun to find. It's the little centrifugal weights that go up in there. So, daggone it. Okay, well, it's part of building reels. I'll have to source some of those. I'm not sure where I'll get them from. But here's your bait clicker. There's your centrifugal weights. That's your cast controls. Slings out against those. I believe there's a bearing underneath there. So let's take this screw right here out. You got to be careful you don't bend this. You talk about a reel that will make some racket. If you bend this spring, it'll go. It makes a thumping sound like a rod knocking in it when you cast. You can fix it. They'll never sound perfect. I've discovered that problem the hard way. You got to take your anti-reverse spring off. It will come out the top like this. Take that out. Then you take this retainer out. And there's a washer with a felt. Pay close attention here. That felt goes down towards the bearing. And to get the bearing out, you're going to have to take the spool, put down in there, and wiggle that bearing to the top. I don't have a bearing removal tool. I need to get one really bad. And it's not really moving. So it's not good. I got to get it out of there. It's moving now. Whew. Come on. I would take air and blow it out of there, but it's shim blow it, and I don't want to lose that. Let me take a little bit of oil and put on. Just don't bend your shaft on your spool if you do this. Just kind of just go easy on it. Thought I had at that time. I don't know if I've got any of those little centrifugal weights anywhere or not. I'll have to look. I've got some, but I don't know if they're going to be the right size for the Daiwa or not. Gone. It's getting closer. This will try your patience. It's coming. It's coming, but it's slow. Not really how this was intended to be done, but I want to get it out of there. Like I said, I got fresh bearings put in this bad boy. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. You almost need a little tool you can put down in there and expand to get those things out. And I don't even know if anybody makes one or not. These small bearings, they make them for big bearings. I might be able to get something in there and hook it. I don't think it's coming out. No, it hasn't moved any. I thought I was getting it, but I haven't. So that might be a problem. Yeah, I've got that bearing in this kit, so know if I could maybe jam a screw down into it or something. Well, I'm going to think on that for a minute. We'll come back to that. The only thing really left is there's one bearing left in here. It has a retainer. I don't have, well, yeah, I guess I do have that bearing. Yep, this is the other spool bearing, so I do have it. Now, this retainer, you don't have your thumb over it, it will go into orbit. I've got it about halfway out, so that's the most dangerous point to have it, to be honest with you, because it's still got all that potential energy in it. And look there, even with my thumb over it, it came out. Tell you what, sometimes these things will they'll flat try you. And then you can just kind of take something very lightly, just push on it, and they just pop right out. So there's the whole reel. Let's take these screws out for the clamp. We'll clean all this up good and get the corrosion out of it if there is any. We'll work on that bearing off screen, see if I can't make something happen with it. I can probably find a screw of some sort to put down into it and get it out. All right, I'll be back after I clean this thing up and make a brand new reel out of it. It's going to be nice. Hey, it's John. I'm back. Got this really nice old Slosh 20 cleaned up. Now, I don't have some parts. Not the end of the world. I think I'm going to go ahead and build the reel. And when the parts come in, they're a real quick fix. I just pull the palm side off and put them on. What I'm missing is the centrifugal weights, the fly weights that fly out. I found them. They're on the way. They were not expensive. I got $5. Shipping was more than the parts. They make an A weight and a B weight. I ordered both. Then I'll have a complete reel again. And that's all it was really missing. So we're going to build the reel without that. And I'll come back with a part 3 of the build where I'll take the end cap off, show you how to put the weights on. Centrifugal weights are not a game changer. Some people would obviously took them out for a reason, you know. And I prefer to have at least one or two weight or one or both weights on there. I'm not so much worried about distance. I'm slinging an 8 ounce anchor. And what happens is on a 13-foot rod, if you come over the top, that initially when you release that line with your thumb, that spool gets spun really fast. And at some point, the weight flying through the air doesn't keep up with the speed that the spool initially got spun out to. So you got to feather that with your thumb. And these centrifugal weights will help you. You know, you have less of a chance of blowing up your line, bird's nesting, as they call it, with a little bit of a cast aid. Now, some guys are so good with casting a surf casting reel that they can't screw up. I don't know how some of them do it. They can be throwing a heavy weight into the wind and they somehow or another make it work. I'm not that damn good, but and I'll admit it. But I still get my line out there and I still manage to make it work. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and build this reel. I'll set it aside, and when the parts come in, I'll do a third part of it, and then I'll post the video. So that's where we're at with this one. So, with that said, let's see what we got to do. I got a few new parts. Open them up. Ordered some ABEX 7s for the spool. There's the spool. bearings, and I've got, this is supposed to be, we're going to look at them here and see, the proper drag for this reel. We'll see if it's right. I've never ordered from this particular company. These are smooth drags. Let's just see how close they got it. Well, that looks right. That looks right. And those look right. So yeah, I think we got the right drag. So we're going to go ahead and, now you're thinking, why do you need new drag if all you're doing casting a weight out there, you're not actually fighting a fish? You're correct. You are absolutely correct. But there is a chance I might go down to the Outer Banks and use this reel, drum, pompano, I don't know, whatever's running, in close. Probably of the smaller variety. Maybe if the drum were running on the small size, I would definitely use this for that. But that's why I would put a new drag. So I've got a new drag. Who am I hurting, right? Let's go ahead and unpackage these expensive bearings. There's the bearing to replace that one. We'll set it aside. There's the bearing to replace that one. So these two bearings, probably not a damn thing wrong with them. I'm going to put them in there with those drags. I know they all go to that reel. Someday I may have another Daiwa I'm working on. I need that size bearing, and I will have it in stock. So, with that said, everything's here. Let's build a reel. Let's build a reel. We'll start out on this side. Over here, build this side of it first. Just have it ready to go on. Got a little bitty copper plate goes in there, and I want to flip that around because it ended up getting that bearing out. I made a bearing puller right there. It did the job. I'll have that for future jobs. And in this bearing, let's just double check our work here. Goes on that end of the spool. Woo, that thing is slick. All right, so that would go right in there. You got to kind of push that down a little bit. See, it locks in there, kind of. And then this washer, this felt on it, goes down towards bearing. I'm going to try to it will sit in there a little bit better. That will go like that. And then if you remember, it had, I'm trying to get back in frame here, folks. Hang on. It had this retainer that went in, slid over onto there. Holds that bearing in there. That's the retainer. And then the next piece of the puzzle is the spring for the bait clipper. This is a little bit tougher to get in there. It's got to come in like this. And you got to kind of feed it around without bending it too much. You got to feed it around that bait clicker like that. And then it just sits down in there and the screw goes into it. Okay. When you put the screw in, try not to bend this ring, because if you do, it's going to make an ungodly sound when you cast. It sounds like you got a flat tire. I'm not lying. It will, excuse me. it will shake your gizzards out, as they say. So there's that whole end of the reel is done. There's your bait clicker. Don't hurt to put a little bit of grease on that, but you don't want grease on the ring. So, that's my rag here. Oh, everybody get ready for the noise. So you want to get all that grease away from the ring, and that ring needs to be full and grease free. So that part's done. Not much to do to the spool. We'll leave that alone. Let's build this side of the reel. This is where all the guts and glory are. It gets this bearing here, the new bearing, go in right there, and it has a retainer, little hexagon shaped wire retainer. Don't lose it, because you'll never find one. It just pops it into place. Okay, don't really have to oil these bearings, but excuse me, I'm gonna give it just a drop. Let's all this goes with that. I don't need those right now. This bar that goes across here, we can go ahead and give it just a little, just like I did on the pin 525, a little bit of grease. This bar doesn't have screws in the end of it, it just sits in there, but I just don't want to forget to put it in. Okay, let's try to remember how it all goes. We're going to put some pin grease in a Daiwa reel. Not going to hurt a thing. The jack plate goes right there. The jack plate, get my fingers on it, goes in just like that. It slides. As you turn that lever on top, this is what engages and disengages the spool for casting. Okay. Now you got the handle shaft, which I've cleaned up really well. It had some crud in it. Remember, it had a little bitty shim. Remember that? You also got this bearing. Let's see if that shim. Yes. Put this bearing in there. Okay. It's been greased, or oil, I'm sorry. Put a little bit more in it. That little shim drops right down in the hole of the bearing. Just make sure it goes flat. Take your screwdriver, poke it in there. And there's a thrust plate. Now I'm trying to remember which way it went in there. I think it goes like this. And this thing goes on like that. I'm pretty sure that's the right way. There's two screws. We'll find out here in a minute if it's right. Okay. All right, remember the yoke had two shims. This is the yoke. I'm going to give the yoke a little bit of grease. That. Put the pinion in there. That's a small pinion, isn't it? I can't remember what the gear ratio is on this thing. I'll tell you here in just a second. So that slides. Slide your jack plate up. This slides down in there, and then you've got two shims. Right, like this. This. Don't forget those shims. They go on top of the yoke, okay? And your springs will go on top of the yoke. I don't have to put those in right now. I just wanted to show you that. The other piece to the puzzle in here is the anti-reverse dog. It goes in right here. I've got the whole assembly together. I got it in there wrong already. This spring has to come out right there. This is all kinds of fun now. This part, yeah, it goes like that. I don't know if there's a way you're supposed to time this because it's got that one odd place right there. I don't know what that's about. Got an odd tooth. Don't know why they left that tooth out. Somebody might know that in the comments. Let me know. I'd love to know the story behind it. You're going to have to hold the anti-reverse dog out. Put this on. And then you're cranking the reel like this. That's how it goes. Like I said, I don't know if there's a certain way it's supposed to be timed or if it even matters. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. The next will be put the drag together. This goes in next. This go on top. I remember where all these little pieces here go. Here, I think so. I don't remember where that one there went. I may have to pull the schematic up. I have schematic handy. These three went on the stack. This goes up in the cover. Where did that go? It almost looks like it went on there. Let's go ahead and put that plastic spacer I know goes up in there. And then you got the spool centering knob, spool tension knob, whatever you want to call it. We'll put a little bit of grease on those threads. Put that in there. I'll just run it down until it hits the O-ring. Yeah. Figure it out as we go. If I had to stop the video, and I have a schematic for this reel, I just don't know what I've done with it. I looked for it yesterday, ended up having to pull the schematic offline again. See where, just see the part number. A lot of times, if you're looking for a part for a reel, if you type in on eBay or whatever, you know, SL20SH centrifugal weights, you'll never find it like that. But if you type in the actual Daiwa part number or whatever type of reel you're working on, if you actually put in the part number, I'll guarantee you if it's available anywhere in the world, it'll be on eBay. There was a little bit of, it's not pitting, it's just discoloration. So we're going to let it go. It's probably just some osmosis between the old grease and the brass. Right now, got one of the big washers. There's two big washers. I coat them pretty good, man. I mean, it's no point not. It's not going to hurt to have a little bit much on it. It keeps these things from sticking. A lot of times my reels sit for a long time before I use them. Let's go with that. Goes in first. The next big one. And you should always check your drags before you go fishing. Make sure they're not stuck. And they're working properly. So we got those two. And then we have the one with the ears. See, his ears are bent down. That would always go down towards the drag washers like that. Then your very last, final, smaller drag washer, the three in the stack. That will go on. And then your press plate is on. It had a shim. And it had a concave, convex, two washers that are bent to oppose each other. I think I see what I did wrong there. I think this actually goes that, and this brass washer, then the bearing, which has been lubricated. Then this is like a seal. Like that. I think that's right. Let's see here. Now let's build this cover. So I had to take this off. It's got a spring. This is probably the weakest part of this reel, by the way. This is these plastic pieces are not a great idea. That's why what I like about Penn. They use metal right there, but well, we're just going to go with it and get a little bit of grease on that, and it'll help stick in place till I get it in place. So it goes in this. You got to kind of set it into place, or I can put lever on it. I got to put the trim ring on it. This is where you start running out of fingers. Trim ring goes on. I might have to spin it just a little bit, get it in a balance basically, and there we go. The lever goes on there, and then the screw. The screw's got a tooth washer under it. I did not take that off. That's how that works. You'll put it in with the knob up, and it needs to line up with that slot. Okay, next step, give each one of these little bushings some grease. Inserts, I guess you call them. Nutserts, inserts. That. And if everything, all the planets and stars are lined up. And they're not. Back plate's got to go down a little bit. How's it doing that? That don't make sense. Let's think about this a minute. I may have that backwards. No, it can't be backwards. It only goes one way. Interesting. This is fun stuff. Okay. Don't know if I got it right or not. We'll find out. Screws to it. Being real careful how I tighten these down. Sorry, I'm being quiet. I'm trying to get the torque even on them. We'll see if it works here in just a second. Not really the right size screwdriver. And now that I got it. All right, let's try this. Grease on the stem or handle shaft. Drag on. Got a handle washer down in there. Handle also, just like the pin 525, you got a torque setting, a speed setting. We're going to go with the speed setting. Bit of grease. Pretty heavy duty nut. Tighten that down. And your little cap, which I hand washed that, so I didn't put that in the ultrasonic. I didn't want that Daiwa emblem to get vibrated off of there by the ultrasonic. Okay, so all right, let's see if it all works. The best thing to do on these is a little bit of oil on that shaft. Hey, let's just see. That's engaged. That's not. Okay, it's working. I got it right. On this side, a little bit of grease on these nut certs again. And when I get my flyweights in, I'll pull this side apart and put the flyweights on it. Pretty simple. And that, the spool shaft goes up into that spool bearing on that side. Wanting to be a little aggravating. I've had this problem before with these. They don't want to stay together for you to get the trim ring on it. You notice I got a lot of oil on my reels when I build them, and that's to keep them. I put WD-40 all over these reels. When that WD-40 dries off, it leaves a protective layer against the salt corrosion. But I don't lubricate the internals with WD-40. It just happens to be on there. Doesn't hurt anything. Definitely helps the exterior parts. When I get the centrifugal weights in, it'll probably take a week or so. I'll come back and finish this video up and post it. Be careful not to slip. I want to scuff up the heads on the bolts. Right, nice little reel. Very good shape. See how the drag works. Yeah, that's good. Oh wow, it's good. Goodness gracious. Yeah. All right, let's do the spool side to side. See how it's moving. This is the proper way to do it. You take it in until the spool, you can't hear that rattle. It's very little play in it. But you don't want it tight. If you're having to do your cast control with this knob on a surf cast reel, not a bass reel. A bass reel maybe. Surf casting reel, not a good idea. It's not bad. It'll get better. One good sling of an 8-ounce lead out there, and she's gonna sing like crazy. I like it. All right, let's wipe it down. This one's going on a rod. I just bought a brand new rod for it. I've got a breakaway HDX 13-foot. Those are my favorite anchor rods. Sitting in the rack over my head, ready to go on this bad boy. As soon as I get the rest of the parts in, I got to get a trigger clamp for it. Hear that little chatter? We're going to get that out of there. As that oil works its way down, that chatter should go away. There it goes. Look at that. See here? That was dry. That's why it was chattering like that. Look at that, nice and smooth. Now, the last thing to do to this reel is the clamp. I had to order a clamp for it. The reel came in without one. I think I paid, I don't know, $10 or something. Shipping and everything was $10 for a brand new clamp. I clamp my reels to my rods. There it is. It's a brand new clamp. And I think it's important to clamp them down. If you don't, you'll end up losing something really special to you in the wrong situation. But for those of you who know the value of a Slosh 20/30, you'll know this is a good reel. This is going to cast really, really, really well with those ceramics in it. And some people might say, well, why are you going to put the centrifugal weights? It's going to slow it down. It's not how it works. The reel will still cast great with centrifugal weights. Centrifugal weights keep that overrun from happening. Right there at the very, that's what I was trying to explain a minute ago, at the very beginning of the cast, when the weight, when you pendulum or you come across with the weight over the top of you in your cast, just as you let go, that initial, when you let go, the leverage of the rod and the weight coming off of it really spins the hell out of the spool. And that's when it'll overrun, bird's nest, and lock up. And it could jerk the rod out of your hands if 8-ounce weight. Definitely going to break the weight, even with mono, unless you're running a whole lot of shock, which I don't. I don't run any shock at all. It'll break it, and you don't want that to happen. So the thing to do is to control that overrun when it first happens. Some guys are very good doing that with their thumb. I rely on some more mechanical means because I'm not down there on the coast doing this every day. These guys are down there every day doing what they can. You know, they get that feel for it. I don't have that feel for it. So well, there it is. Slosh 20, and the I'll give you a little bit of specs on this bad boy. It's a 12-pound line. It'll take 380 yards of 12, 300 yards of 14, and 210 yards of 20. I'm gonna put 17 on it. I'll use Suffix Tritanium 17. So it'll probably take 230, 240 yards of 17. I should start seeing it almost, it should almost look like it's spooled on a good cast. So this is John, Vintage Fisherman. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. This is fun stuff for me to do. This is one of my favorite reels too, by the way. And it's been good working on these things, and I can't wait to get out and fish with them. I've got some really nice reels here to fish with. Please like the video and subscribe. And I'll be back with another video before you know it. About 2-3 days. Talk to you later. Hey, this is John. I'm back to finally finish up this Slosh 20. This is a Sea Line SL20SH. We call them Sloshes. As you recall, when I built the reel, I was missing the centrifugal weights off the spool brake. And it took a couple of weeks, but I think we got the right ones in here. Actually, by the time this video comes out, it'll be a whole month. These things turn up missing off these reels. Some guys don't need them when they cast, okay? Some guys just don't need them. I'm not that good. That's what they are. That's the part number. Found them on eBay. Real nice guy. He, in fact, I need to message him back and tell him I received them yesterday. Tell him I appreciate it. You can get to them over on this side. Let me see if I can get over here and not bump into my microphone. What they do is, as the spool starts spinning really fast, they fly out and slow the spool down a little bit. And keeps you from bird's nesting. You can run 1, 2, or none. They have a smaller size too. This is the B set. And I got the A set. The A set are really small, and I'm like, don't know if they'll help me that much on a cast. Now I got buddies that would cast this thing, and man, they go all thumb. They don't really care about whether they're going to bird's nest or not. They just got a feel for it. I'm not that good, and I've been surf casting conventionals for a long time, but I'm just not a natural at it, you know. So what those do, they go on these pins, and they fly out and they contact that ring. Pretty simple to put them in here. I hope I won't lose them. Pull the spool up a little bit. They just slide on. You can use the rounded end out, which will work better. They go on like that. Get your spool back in. Now, something that I like to do, and of course I'm going to drop one off already. Okay, that's good. Let's just leave it on. Let's go around with a Q-tip. I'm going to make some noise here. It's temporary. Everybody laughs at my drawer. I get a lot of comments. Your reels run good, but your drawer's pretty noisy. Trying to work with limited hands here. Go around, just clean that off good. And you know, also want to make sure that ring is perfectly round. If there's a dent right here where somebody's been into that snap ring, it will sound like a rod knocking when you cast this thing. So keep that in mind. Before you put the palm plate on, make sure those weights are all the way in. Line your side cover up. Hold it a little bit. And so when that spool's a free spool and it really starts spinning good, those weights will fly out and slow it down. That one spins good no matter what. That's just a nice little reel. I'm going to put this thing on a brand new rod. Just got it in. My buddy Ryan down there at Hatter's Jack is rebuilding his business. He's lifting the business up out of the floodplain, making it 2-story. And he gave me one hell of a deal on a Breakaway HDX. That's what this reel's going to go on. We're going to mount this thing up. This is a 13-foot, 4 to 8, 20 to 30 pound. Like I said, it's 13 foot. These come out of Texas. I just love these rods. I've got like 5 of them now. It's what I use in the surf, and for my anchor rods on the pier. My favorite rods. I've gotten used to how they throw, and when you get used to how something throws, you kind of stick with it, whether it be spinning or casting. I don't know if it makes sense. We're gonna try to install this. I don't have a lot of room here on this bench to actually put a reel on. We're gonna try it. We're going to seat it in here. Let's see if this will work. You hear it hit the wall, just don't pay any attention. I hope I'm in frame. It's cool. Keep smacking the wall over there. That's okay. Now, I clamp my rods. Some people don't. I do. We're going to see if this clamp will work. Something else I do. Some people don't. I use a trigger. Sometimes it's hard to get. I use this. Let me try to get this thing together. Will be a tight fit. It may not work. I'm going to have to get some longer screws, which happens sometimes. Oh yeah, it's going to be. I'll probably have to go to the hardware store. Yeah, that's not going to be a possibility. So what I'll have to do is go get some longer screws today, and I'll come back with a video. Final installation. We'll make a nice little anchor rod setup. Without a lot of money. I got this thing on sale. Rod, stupid cheap. I'm not even gonna say. And for a breakaway, and the reel was auction bind for $20 or something. All right, I'll be back. Hello, it's John. I'm back. I think part 7 of this Daiwa Slosh build. Made it out to the hardware store yesterday, so let's see what we can do with it. Haven't felt good, and kind of everything's a little bit of a struggle, but I'm getting little things done here and there. Had to get a slightly longer bolt, and I did get stainless steel, as you can maybe see there. Let's try it. I've got to find the right size. There we go. Allen head. We're gonna finish this. We're gonna finish this reel up. How about that? Still trying to get my shop set up, but I'm a lot closer than I was. All right. I hope I didn't get these screws too long. We might be doing a part 8. I've had a hell of a couple weeks here. My health is, I'm a normally very healthy person, and I haven't had any troubles with my health in a long, long time. And oh, these last couple weeks have really been something for me. I'm not used to being unhealthy. And these are all issues out of my control. These are genetics. Thanks, Dad. But it's all good. He didn't do it on purpose, right? Yeah, these are too long. Shoot, I swear. I was worried about that because the next size down is not much longer than those. Maybe we'll get lucky here. Yeah, I think it's tightening down. Not sure why this side bottomed out way before the other side. There was the same size screws. Let's Try again. I don't know what's going on with it. Yeah, it may not be the right thing there. Why is this side working and that side's not? That don't even look right. Okay, let's go to plan B. Kind of crazy. Golly. I'm not a fan of Allen head screws. I don't like them on equipment. I don't like them on reels. They strip out. We see them on a piece of equipment. We're like, why did an engineer spec a freaking Allen head on a damn piece of equipment? You know, it's going to rust. It's going to get covered in dirt. You got to dig the head out of it. It's just a pain in the butt. If I can get that one to get down there and catch a thread or two, we might be able to get this thing to work. Okay, we got a couple threads in there. I don't think it's going to look great, but it's going to work. I hope y'all are seeing this. I'm kind of bouncing back and forth here. It's a tight area here for a 13-foot rod. Oh yeah, she's going down now. Is it beautiful? Nah. Will it work? Yeah. This is my rain anchor rod. If I go out there and it's going to be pouring down rain all day or a chance of rain, I'm going to leave my good pin casting specials and mag 525 sliding mags in the truck. We're going with the old reel. Well, so as you can see, I use a trigger. And some are like, what the hell you do that for? Because I like it. It's America. I can do what I want to do. But when I cast, I have just a little bit more control over that rod coming out of my hands. I've had rods slip out of my hands, especially in the rain. And over the rail it goes, especially if you backlash a little bit and that 8-ounce anchor out there stops all of a sudden. It will, it'll pull on you. And that's how I run them right there. With let me see if I can get that in frame. With a trigger. All my conventional all my conventional anchor and surf rods are set with a trigger. And I think I got it from, oh man, was it Bowling Tuna or someplace like that? I got a whole box of them. I bought like 20 of them at one time. So there it is, a breakaway HDX Slosh 20. He's gonna make a good one. This video is finally done. Wasn't sure if I was gonna finish it this time or not. Anyways, John Vince Fisherman, thanks for watching. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. And subscribe. You can see me do 10-part videos. They only take like a minute apart. Promises I start feeling better. I'll have more videos coming out, but I think I've got videos scheduled through February, so we should be good. By the end of next week, I'll be well enough to get down here and work and get caught back up. I usually stay 2 months ahead on videos. So thank you all. Thanks for watching. I'll be back.